Hi, so what's up, y'all? Today we're going to be going over imbalance and how to properly use it in your trading because a lot of people in the industry talk about imbalance but don't properly put it together with supply and demand zones. So the reason why I'm making this video is because in my next video I'm going to be going over how to define correct supply and demand zones, and this goes hand in hand. If you don't know what to look for with the imbalance, you're not going to really know how to find the correct zone for your supply and demand zones. And also at the end of this video I will be going over a trade that I took Wednesday that put me in a small amount of profits because I had a little bit of slippage. So slippage happens sometimes, like small percent of the times. It was because of FOMC, but I didn't know about it. I don't look at news or anything because news is not needed. What we do here or what I am teaching here happens way before the news. So it was a small amount of profits. I just experienced some slippage, which I don't really like trading during those events because of the big spikes and stuff like that, but it still goes in the overall direction. All right, so imbalance. How to like imbalance is basically we have a huge candle, and this is like a perfect example actually. Um, so we have a huge candle that has a gap. You see how the rest of these candles have wicks. So all right, let's put it like this. So when you're looking for imbalance, you want to look at the previous candle, right? Which is this, and the candle that's after. So the previous candle is right here. So let's draw that out. The next candle, where is it at? Right here. So let's draw that out. The next candle that's right after it is right here. So imbalance is basically the gap that is from the wick before and the wick after, right? So usually price. So the way how we're gonna implement this is when you're looking for your zones, you want to find zones that have imbalance because they're more likely to hold and get mitigated and stuff like that. But you still do have to understand it's not all zones have to hold. Your zones will miss all that good stuff. All right. So this whole gap in supply and demand perspective has to get filled, but not the whole thing. You see how after that it got filled a little bit? There will still be imbalance from this candle because you still have this gap left, right? This whole gap is left. So there's still imbalance there. So it filled it a little bit, but there's still imbalance left. So that's what imbalance is. It's basically a gap from the previous candle's wick to the next candle's wick. And that's our imbalance. Let's look at a couple more examples. Um, for example, right here, this imbalance has been filled, right? So we have this huge candle right here. Let's look at the previous candle. So let's grab the wick. And as you can see, the previous candle wick to this right here, it was filled. And let's look at the after candle right here. So there's no imbalance left. Once price fills it completely, there's no imbalance left. And basically, the better zones are gonna have these imbalances. So you're gonna look for. So we all know a demand zone is the down move before the up move, and the supply zone is the up move before a down move. Let's just say in this scenario, all right, it didn't break down, but just let's say this price broke down right here, right? Say, all right, we found our last up move before the down move before we break structure. We will also look to see if the candle has imbalance. It doesn't matter how big the imbalance is. as long as there's a little gap that price didn't like wick into. If it didn't wick into or filled, it's still valid. And then later on, we're gonna pair that into the concept of structure and make sure you're trading based on the overall structure. Because when you do that, when you pair the overall structure, you find your unmitigated zones, which has imbalance and everything, and you confirm those zones, you have a higher chance of your zones not failing, but it's still possible. Hmm. Let's look at an even smaller example. Let's actually look at this example with the zone I was looking at on Wednesday. In this scenario, we have my last down move before the up move, which is a demand zone, which I'm going to cover even more in depth in the next video since we're covering imbalance. And as you can see from the previous candle, so after this candle right here, up move, from the previous candle, we have this wick, and I noticed it didn't hit, right? We got this wick right here. It tapped in just a little bit, but it didn't fill in the whole thing, right? It didn't. If this wick had touched the bottom right here of this candle right here of my zone right here from the previous candle, then I wouldn't have considered this a valid zone, but it didn't. So it was still valid, which it tapped in nicely, and I looked for confirmation. So that's what basically imbalance is. And you're gonna use that in your trading, and it can really help you find better zones. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm gonna be going over the trade I took, and it wasn't an amazing trade, and it did put me in a little bit more profit after on taking, I think it was 2 losses last week. It put me in a little bit up, and that's how trading works. You're not gonna just shoot up. You're gonna have fluctuations, dips, making new highs, and all that good stuff. So you just need to keep that in mind. Any trader you see that with a high boost like that, and it doesn't go down, like they're just over risking. They just trading because usually high gains come from like you just over risk, don't know what you're doing, and then boom, you got all that profit. That's where the huge spike comes from. So let me. Let's actually. This was a 30-minute time frame. So I found my zone right here. Found the break of structure right here. Um, what was I looking at? At this time, I was waiting for price. It was right here, yeah. And I noticed price didn't break this structure of point right here. So it was still valid for me to take a trade all the way up until this high. This is where I was targeting overall because this was a. I'm trying to see what on type of zone it was. It was like I think it was a 4 hour. Yeah, it was a 4 hour on zone. So it was a 4 hour high. As you can see in my last videos, I've been trading UJ and EJ mostly. Sometimes I would trade EU, and AU for New York session on like Fridays. But let's go back into it. I think I was on a 1 minute. Yeah. So I was basically following the structure. So where was it? Came on late, but same thing. You can look at my last videos. Yeah, the breaker structure. You know it. If you want to know what I look for, just look at my last videos. I talk about it all the time. So again, the breaker structure, another breaker structure breaks back down, and then we have a breaker structure again. So breaker structure, breaks of structure, and then what do I see? A nice clean zone right there. Nice zone. which I screenshotted. Yeah, it was a nice zone right there. And I was looking to enter it based on the breaker structure right here. Had multiple breakers of structure, and my rules were met, and I entered it right here. Right. I was looking for a reason to break even, and usually I like to see an up move, down move, and an up move. And then if the low is above my entry, then I'll break even. But in this scenario, I didn't break even yet because I didn't get that rule met, even though it broke structure already. And even though this wick shows that I got stopped out, it actually didn't stop me out. Um, it was some slippage that actually usually works against people, but it actually worked in my favor because I thought I was stopped out, but actually, when I was on my phone, I was like, wait, because I was looking at it at the same time because I was waiting to manage my trade. I was like, wait, it stopped me out, but I noticed it was some slippage, and I was still in the trade as it shot right back up, and it was getting near my partials, and I was trying to hurry up to take up this is my partials, and I accidentally ended up closing the whole trade, which happens sometimes. I accidentally closed the whole trade instead of taking a piece off, and then it reached to my final target, which happens. So it is what it is. I accidentally closed the whole position, but it was nice little profit, and that's the only trade I was able to find this whole week because I didn't see no trades based on my specific rules. So y'all got to keep that in mind. There can be trades for other people because they have different trading styles. But for me personally, there's only one trade which has some slippage and maybe a small little bit of profit. So I hope y'all like this imbalance video. I hope y'all tune in for the next video that's gonna go with the imbalance video to help y'all find correct zones. So stay tuned for that. I'm trying to post every Friday. Please subscribe, like, comment. Let me know if y'all have any questions.